What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be talking about global entry. So in my last video, I talked quite a bit about TSA PreCheck and mentioned global entry a little bit. That's actually what I have, and I wanted to give you a little bit of information about that as well. If you're planning on traveling internationally, it definitely makes sense to go with global entry. Makes your life so much easier, and TSA PreCheck is included, so why not? So let's just jump into it with what is TSA PreCheck. Starting off strong, I meant to say global entry here. So this is a trusted traveler program that's geared more towards international travelers. So with this, when you come back from a trip overseas, you go through a customs and immigration process. And when you're coming in at a prime time, there's lots of other international flights coming in. The line can get quite long depending on the airport that you're at. So with global entry, you'll get to bypass that line and go to a global entry kiosk. You'll scan your passport and fill out a short customs declaration form. It'll print you out a little receipt that you bring to an agent. From there, quick disclaimer, they do have the ability to pull you aside for additional screening if they randomly have to or randomly decide to. They absolutely can do that, but in most cases, it does speed up the process quite a bit, and it's made my life so much easier as an international traveler. With global entry, you do also have TSA PreCheck included, so if you wanted more information on TSA PreCheck, I will link that video down below and up at the top somewhere. So how long is global entry good for? Like TSA PreCheck, it's good for 5 years. You'll go through the application process and interview process, and then once you're issued your known traveler number and approved for the program, that's when your time starts. As you're coming up on that 5-year mark, you'll get an email letting you know it's time to renew, and then you just go through the renewal process. How much does global entry cost? So it's a little bit more than TSA PreCheck. It's $100, which honestly isn't a huge difference. That covers the cost of running the program, like the interview process, the application process, the background checks, and everything that goes into running the program. And for 5 years, I don't think that's a bad deal at all, especially with how much I travel. So that also includes TSA PreCheck and the ability to get an expedited customs experience. In my opinion, it's totally worth it. Now, if this all sounds good to you and you're wondering, how do I get signed up? I will put the link in the description, but the website is ttp.dhs.gov. That will bring you to a page where you can look at all of the trusted traveler programs, TSA PreCheck, global entry, and some of the other ones that are available, and pick the right one for you. The application process is pretty similar to TSA PreCheck, with the one main difference being the interview locations. With TSA PreCheck, there are more locations available that you can go to. With global entry, it's limited to mostly airports, so you'll go online and find the location that's closest to you when it's time to schedule your interview. For me, with how often I travel internationally, I personally think it's worth it to make the trip to the airport, but that is totally up to you. Now, when it comes to children, global entry is much different than TSA PreCheck. So if you have global entry, your children, your spouse, anyone traveling with you cannot go to the global entry kiosk with you. Everyone in your traveling party, whether they are 12 years old, 5 years old, they have to also have global entry to go with you to the kiosk. Now, when it comes to global entry, the approval and rejection process is a little bit different from TSA PreCheck. There's many different things that may disqualify you from the program. So if you have any doubts about whether you would be accepted, I'm going to include a link down in the description so you can see if there's any information for your specific situation. And that is everything. I hope this video is helpful. If you're traveling internationally, global entry is pretty much a no-brainer, especially since it comes with TSA PreCheck. I don't know about you guys, but when I'm booking an international flight home, I tend to book the latest flight possible. And by the time our flight gets in, I definitely do not feel like going through the customs and immigration process. So being able to go to the kiosk is just so much easier. But definitely check out the program if it makes sense for you. If you're going to be traveling internationally pretty frequently, it's definitely a good option to have. But thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one.